The Liberal Party are freaking out. Their own sitting members of Parliament are defecting from their own parties on mandatory vaccines and vaccine passports. There are people like Tanya Davies and Russell Broadbent who are opposing what's going on, and it's beautiful to see. So let me bring you guys up to speed. This week, on Sunday, Tanya Davies, a member of the New South Wales Parliament under Gladys Berejiklian, has defected from what Gladys was saying, and Tanya is putting forward legislation to oppose the mandatory jabs from employers for their employees. And she's also being backed up by another MP, Nathaniel Smith, and also Anthony Roberts, who is the counter-terrorism minister, and he's in cabinet. That is serious stuff. And I've been talking to a few other MPs on a state level who are looking to support this bill. This is really good to see. That's brilliant. But it doesn't stop there. On a federal level, you've also got Russell Broadbent in Victoria, who's talking about vaccine passports, and he's opposing it. This is beautiful to watch. This is excellent, because what it means is what we've been doing the last 2 weeks in terms of emailing and calling MPs respectfully, the fruit is coming up. Now, don't get me wrong, I wish it was quicker, but the wheels of democracy move bloody slow. And this is a really good way to enact change before the next election. Now, I want to see these MPs succeed. I'm sure you guys do too. I don't want vaccine passports. I don't want mandatory vaccines for people like those in my family that need a vaccine to go and work. I don't want that. So what we need to do at this very point in time is support these MPs by emailing them. You've got nothing to lose. Email these MPs, and it's in the description, Tanya Davies and Russell Broadbent. Tell them respectfully exactly what you think about these vaccine passports, but also mandatory jabs from employers in order to work. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's completely against the law. Now, when it comes to the email, just include that. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but if you can, include your postcode. Not your address, your postcode. Why? Because when Tanya Davies or Russell Broadbent are trying to pressure other colleagues and convince other colleagues in the Parliament of what's going on, they will be able to go to them and say, oh, look, I've got 10,000 people in your electorate in New South Wales that oppose vaccine passports or oppose jabs from employers. If you don't vote on this, these people, I'm going to name and shame you, and you're going down in the next election. And that is exactly what we want to see, because these MPs that have put their name forward, they are putting their necks out there. They want this to succeed. They really do. Now, if you don't like them, you can get rid of them at the next election. But at this point in time, this is what you've got to work with. Now, people like Tanya Davies, this is not the first time she's done this to Gladys, and Gladys doesn't like it. The first time I saw Tanya Davies do this was on the abortion bill. She was one of the few MPs that opposed the abortion bill, and she spoke at a lot of the protests back in 2019 against full-term abortion. And full credit to her for that. She was opposed to a lot of the things being proposed there. Now, when it comes to Russell Broadbent, he's one of the longest-serving federal MPs in Australian history. The guy is an OG. He's been around for a while, and he's excellent. He does a fairly good job. He's also in the Liberal Party. Now, I want to see what he's putting forward succeed too. So you need to flood his email. Full credit to him for saying, I want to hear from the community. Everyone flood my email. His videos have been going crazy. I mean, it's got all these likes, all these shares, so many views. This is what you want to see from MPs. This is all I've ever wanted to see, that communication between the two. Go email both these MPs and tell them your postal address on there if you're comfortable, and tell them your story. Tell them exactly what you want to see. Now, I'm going to play these videos, and you're going to see exactly what these MPs are like. Let me know what you think in the description of what you measure of them. But first, I'm going to play Russell Broadbent, and then I'm going to play Tanya Davies.
Good day. You may have heard or had conversations around international airlines rolling out digital health passes, otherwise known as vaccine passports, when international flights resume. While private companies are entitled to make whatever decisions they like regarding vaccine passports, I have to say I feel uncomfortable, really uncomfortable about the use of vaccine passports being made mandatory for domestic travel. Over the past few months, I've received passionate emails and calls from many constituents pleading with me to vote against any introduction of vaccine passports. But equally, I know many people are supportive of the idea. Any decisions about vaccine passports need to be carefully considered, and I want to better understand the perspective of the people I represent. So today, I invite you to respond to this video and share your views with me. In fact, feel free to forward this video to your family, friends and colleagues located in my electorate or around Australia, and encourage them to let me know about their views as well. Thanks.
That was Russell Broadbent. As you heard, he actually said, I want to see feedback from the community. I want to see what you guys are thinking. It sounds like he's getting things from both sides. So this is your opportunity. You need to flood this guy's email. Everyone you know needs to email him right away. It doesn't have to be complicated. It's literally postcode. Hi, Russell, I think about this about the vaccine. I think about this about the vaccine passport. And that's it. And then shoot it off to him. And be respectful. The moment you swear, throw it in the bin. Be respectful. So when it comes to the next video, this is from Tanya Davies. She's putting legislation forward this week about what's going on with these mandatory jabs from employers in order to allow their employees to work. This is ridiculous. She's opposing it, and she makes some really valid points. And here it is.
In breaking news tonight, New South Wales Liberal MP Tanya Davies is introducing a private member's bill to seek to ban companies or the government from mandating COVID-19 vaccines. And she joins me live now. Tanya Davies, welcome to the program.
Thanks, SHARRI.
Why shouldn't workers have mandatory vaccines when we have the Delta variant spreading so quickly in New South Wales?
Well, it's quite clear from your introductory piece that there is simply not enough supply of the vaccines to begin with. There are people that are wanting vaccines and they can't get them. But at the end of the day, I stand up for individual people's rights. And there are some people who cannot or choose not to have a vaccine. And we certainly should not be living in a society whereby a government or a business coerces or forces an employee to have a vaccine outside and beyond their individual circumstances. It is certainly not a position that I, as a Liberal, stand by and endorse. And certainly the feedback from my community since that announcement was made just yesterday has been overwhelming. The government simply just cannot stand there and force an individual to have a vaccine. And this also puts at serious risk businesses who take on that mandate. What is the risk that that business will expose themselves to if an employee takes a vaccine after being mandated according to the employer's policy and they suffer an adverse reaction? There's a whole lot of questions that this policy just announced last night has, and it needs to be sorted. And I'm bringing in this piece of legislation in order to protect individuals and protect businesses.
Look, surely we're in a unique circumstance here, and globally we're seeing that people are needing to show proof of vaccination, not just for employment, but before they can even go inside at a restaurant. That's happening in New York and Washington and other parts of the United States. Why shouldn't Australia be pursuing this kind of strategy as well?
Well, I think it comes down to the very fact that this is your personal medical information, and the moves that you've just mentioned are actually getting us as a society in a place of exposing our own personal medical information to anybody and everybody. And that holds serious concerns. It may begin at the COVID-19 vaccination, but where will it end? There are serious concerns about privacy, serious concerns about protecting individual rights here. I mean, I know my grandfather went to war to fight to keep our freedoms in this nation. And that's something that we need to continue to fight to protect. Certainly forcing vaccinations on a community is not the way to go.
But in terms of talking about freedoms, isn't the only way we can have freedom, we can escape this lockdown, is by getting the population vaccinated? And we have seen a reluctance to get people vaccinated. We have seen quite low vaccination levels. That's a supply issue as well. But isn't forcing people to get the vaccination as a compulsory requirement of their employment one way to lift those levels and to return to that freedom?
Well, we just have to look overseas. Malta has nearly 90% of their population vaccinated, and they are now going back into lockdown. Vaccinations aren't a preventer for lockdowns, as we're seeing overseas. So we need to look at other means and other ways. And if the government cannot use its full resources, state and federally in particular, to educate, to inform and to encourage the population to get vaccinated, they're only after 70% in the first stage, then that's a failure of government. And it should not be a situation whereby my community, my members, people across Western Sydney, Southwestern Sydney, are actually forced to have vaccinations because it's a failure of the government. The federal government has effectively now privatised mandatory COVID vaccination, and that's just unacceptable.
Tanya Davies, I have to say this is going to be a big issue this week. I've been speaking to some of your colleagues this afternoon, interviewing them for a report in the Australian newspaper tomorrow. And there are a lot of MPs who agree with you, both senior MPs who've gone on the record to agree with you and other backbenchers as well. So we will see where this debate goes and how the Premier handles it tomorrow. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Sharri.
There you go. That was Tanya Davies. Full credit to her. Well done. Well done, Tanya Davies. And I'm sure that many MPs that I've been talking to that haven't voiced their public support yet will join you in that. Everyone, email Tanya, email Russell, get all of the people that you know to email them. This is very important. This is better than a petition. Believe me, this is better than a petition because it's directly requested from these MPs. Go and support them. Go send them these emails and go from there. If you don't like them, that's all right. You can throw them out the next election. But at this point in time, they want support. They want to know the opinions of the people. And if they deliver on this, and if they pull this off, I mean, think about that for a second. If they pull this off and they manage to stem the long march of these vaccine passports and the long march of the employers actually changing their employee conditions and forcing vaccines, what a success. Maybe if you want, you can keep them. And and I think there's an argument to keep them in that situation. If there aren't any better candidates, maybe you don't want the Labor candidate or someone else, or maybe there's no better candidates. If that's the case, beautiful. Beautiful. And it's in your hands now, guys. Just like we've been doing it the last 2 weeks, it's the same gig. Smash it. This is really good news, guys. Very optimistic. I hope you guys are encouraged by this. And please remember, try and reduce your time on social media. It's very bad for mental health. And definitely do not listen to the mainstream media. They are not helping at all with their fear porn. It's absolutely ridiculous. You guys have a great day. And remember to share this video and give it a like and leave your comment down below. I'll see you guys later.